Hello and welcome to a new SolidWorks tutorial. My name is Joseph Check, and in today's video we're looking to create this simple assembly within SolidWorks. Hopefully this will give you an introduction to the basic mates within SolidWorks and also just an understanding of how different parts work together in an assembly. This is just a simple mechanism I created that translates rotational motion into linear motion. And if you would like to follow along with this video, I provided a download link in the description that includes all the parts I used to create this assembly. So let's go ahead and get started. When you first open up SolidWorks, you want to head up to the File tab, click on New, Assembly, and OK. Once you find all the parts that you have downloaded, we will start with a static part, which basically means that this part will not move within our assembly. It's basically going to be the part that all the other parts connect to and use as a reference. In our case, it's going to be the cheese plate mounting bracket. So let's click on that one and click Open. Instead of just dragging and clicking into somewhere within my viewport, I'm going to just click on OK, and this basically sets up my part wherever it needs to be in my assembly. Now we can go back to Insert Components, and I'm going to select all of the parts that I have yet to put into the assembly. So I'm going to select all of these. So I'm just excluding the main assembly that's already completed and the mounting bracket that I have already imported. So let's click on OK. And now you can consecutively place all the parts that you selected. So let's go ahead and do that. So once you place all of your parts, you can move them around to make it a little bit more convenient to where they are placed. In order to move a part, of course, we can just click on any surface and drag that where we would like. To rotate a part, such as our pin right here, we can right-click and hold down and then drag that in place to rotate the object wherever we need it. Another quick tip is duplicating objects within SolidWorks. So in our case, we need a total of 3 screws, but instead of going up to Insert Components and just selecting one screw after another and importing them, you can hold down Control, click on your part, and drag it out to the side. And this can be repeated as many times as you need. So again, hold down Control and drag down. Another tip to remove the sketches that were used to create the part, and you can do this by going to the visibility options and drop down menu and select view sketches and turn that off. That just makes it a little more simple, so you're not selecting a sketch and trying to mate it with different things. So let's go ahead and look at our first part that we want to mate. In our case, let's look at the crank here, and what I want to do is mate this shaft or this rod basically to fit with inside of our hole that we have created here. So to enter into the mate menu, basically, we click on this mate button. So once you're in this mate menu, you can basically select 2 separate parts and mate them together one after another. When you have finished connecting all the models that you want, you can click the check mark twice. So as an example, I'm going to select this outside surface of this rod and then the inside surface of this hole right here. SolidWorks automatically applies the mate that it thinks I want and orientates the part to the correct position. If your part does not orientate to the correct position, or if the part is basically backwards, you can always flip it using the mate alignment. So in case your part looks something like this, you can go ahead and go into mate alignment and just choose between these 2 options here until it looks correct. Let's go ahead and click the check mark once, and as you can see, it prompts us to select 2 more objects. So we're going to select the face of this part here and the back face of this part here. and then we click OK. This was all the mates we needed to do with this one part, so I'm going to click the check mark one more time and exit out of the mate menu. So now we can go ahead and look at connecting our guide rod to the mounting plate. We're basically going to do the same operation, but in this case we have two of these slots that need to go into these holes here. So I'm going to go into the mate menu again, select the outer surface and then the inner surface. As you can see, our part is basically kind of reversed its direction, so we want to choose another mate alignment. Our part looks a little weird right now, but that is only because the top rod and the hole are concentric and not the bottom. So let's go ahead and select OK once. We can go ahead and orientate our view to where we can drag this down a little bit, where we can kind of see the other rod here. Let's select the outer face of that and then the inner face here, and then we hit OK. So the last operation to connect our guide rod to the plate is to basically select the two faces that need to meet each other. So it's going to be this face and this face. And we'll hit OK twice. That exits the mate menu, and these are the two main components that needed the screws that we duplicated from before. So let's go ahead and drag these screws down here to where we can see them, and let's go ahead and start with the first mate with these screws. So my recommendation whenever you have screws that you need to mate into certain geometry is to not select the helixes or the threads from that screw, but the edge of the screw. So for example, let's go up to the mate option. So let's just select the edge of our screw and any edge of our part. Our screw is basically in the wrong alignment, so let's just click on Mate Alignment, select OK only once, drag out our screw, and then we can select the two faces that need to meet. In our case, it's this face here and this face here. We select OK. And now this operation can be repeated as many times as needed. So select the outer edge of this and the outer edge of this. Select OK, drag out, connect this face with this face. Select OK, orientate our view to where we can see both again. This edge with this edge, mate alignment, click OK, drag out, this face with this face, and click OK twice to exit the menu. And now we can mate our pin into the guide rod here. Let's go to Mate, select the outer surface of our pin and the inner surface of the rod guide. Select OK. Select this inner circle of our connecting rod, and then we want to select the outer surface of our crank here. Select OK. So things can get a little weird once we have these mates being made and they're not all connected yet, but don't worry about that yet. Let's go ahead and just kind of free up our view to where we can see what's going on here. And let's move this guy up to where we need to see him. Let's rotate this object to where we can kind of see both sides of this part. Alright. So what we want to do now is exit our mate menu just by clicking OK. So where this can get a little tricky is creating a width mate between two separate objects. It would basically create a gap in between those two objects that would be equal in distance. So let's just go ahead and look into how we would do that. So basically we want this face and this face to be in between this face and this face. So let's go ahead and just make some room to where we can actually see what is going on here. We want to select the two faces that will be next to each other on each side. So it's going to be a total of 4 faces that we do select. Let's go ahead and select the 2 inside faces here, and then the 2 outside faces of our rod right here. When all of those 4 faces are selected, we can hit Mate. If we look at the top view, we can kind of see that our 2 parts now have this gap in between them. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that these 2 holes here are concentric with each other. To do this, let's go ahead and get out of the Mate menu, and we want to select the inside surface of both of these circles. Whenever we hit Mate, it will automatically select a concentric mate. Click OK once, and then we can add our pin into this slot here. So let's select any interior surface of this slot here, and then the outer surface of this rod. Select OK. Let's go ahead and pull our part away a little bit, and what we're going to do is select OK, exit that Mate menu. So we're basically going to do the same thing that we did to create an equal distance gap between these 2 parts that are next to each other. So holding down Control, let's select this face of our part, this face of our part, and we need to orientate our view to where we can see this side here. So hold down Control and also click that side. So we should have a total of 4 faces selected. Once those are selected, you can select Mate. Click OK and OK. Now if we orientate our view to the top, we can now see that we have an equal distance between all of the gaps of our part. This is exactly what we wanted. Alright guys, I guess that's it for this video. Hope you learned something today, and if you liked this video, feel free to give us a like, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments section below. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.